Hey, Jimmy Beach here with Alien Skin Software. Today we'll be creating an aged look with Exposure 3. We're going to go over grain, we're going to do a vignette, and we're going to work with the dust and the scratches. So let's get right to it. With our image open in Lightroom, we can take a look at where we're going to be headed with our transformation. Now here is our before and our after. Now you can see that we've converted it to a black and white image, and we've added some sepia toning, and there's some rich grain to it, with some distress of dust and scratches. Now obviously this is an extreme example, but if you're wanting to make a historic look, you don't have to try to break the photo as much as I am. Just scale it back a bit and work with your composition. Now let's choose the original image. Now we'll open it up in Exposure 3. Now we are in Lightroom, so if you haven't watched the Lightroom tutorial, you may want to. We cover some of the basics of working in Lightroom workflow, so if you see me moving a bit quickly, it's because I know it's been covered in another video. So we want to go with our presets here when we open it up. We want to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments, and we want to use black and white film. In the settings panel, let's go to black and white films, vintage. Now this is a good place to find old-fashioned looks. And I think it's a good starting point would be like Calotype Sepia. Now let's do the one without the grain. The main thing about Calotype is its weird tone curve. Let's go take a look at it in the Tone tab. Now you see its white and its black points, they're not at 100%. So the whites will be a little bit dingy and the darks will be a little bit bright. Now it already has some colorization too. Let's look on the Color tab. See down below? Now if you're interested in colorization, check out the High Key video. Now let's focus on grain for a moment. Go over to the Grain tab, and now let's zoom in to 1:1 so we can see what we're doing. In any of these tabs, you'll notice that I'd make my most important adjustments first, and then I dial the look in with the less important sliders. So here on the Grain tab, we want to start with the most important, the overall grain strength. Now most film grain is found in the midtones, and our parameters here kind of already are set up for this, but let's make it a little more apparent. Now if you want to make it different, you can tell your grain where you want it to land right here. Okay. Now roughness makes the grain have sharp edges, but in the middle looks nice to me, right about where it is. Now let's go on to the size. The right is very large, the left is very small. I'm going to leave it down here for a minute. We recommend leaving the grain size on auto, and this will make the grain size match with your image size. For instance, a print made from a 35mm film has hardly any grain when it's printed on a contact sheet. But when it's blown up to a 30x40, you can see the grain from across the room. Now, you can choose here some common film formats if you want more accuracy, but basically larger film formats have smaller grain. So let's give this image some really fat grain, about 4 or so. Now the Age tab, our last stop. We need a vignette. Now let's make this one white, and we'll make it a little bit smaller and make sure that it's round, just like it's made in the print process. The icing on the cake here are the dust and the scratches, so it's easy to add some with the sliders. Let's make lots of giant dust and lots of scratches as long as we can get them. Now we'll click randomize here for a couple of times for better placement. Now I'm complete, so I'm going to press Ctrl S or Command S and save my setting. And I'll name it Calotype Extreme Age. And I want to put it in a folder, aged. And I want to give it a comment like oversized grain, white vignette. Now you'll be thankful later when you build this step into your workflow, trust me. Let's click OK and we'll apply our setting, and we're all done. And now we can go back to our original and then to our new. Now I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Our workflow began with a preset and then was customized with a few settings, and I'd recommend adapting to this type of workflow. Today we've covered black and white tips in regard to vintage looks. We covered grain, vignette, dust, and we covered scratches. We also saved our custom setting. As always, I'll direct you to our website, www.alienskin.com, where we have a great deal of inspirational examples and tutorials to help you hone your craft. This video is part of a constantly growing series on Exposure 3. Check out the website as often as you can. There'll always be new additions. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Until next time, this is Jimmy Beach with Alien Skin Software.